Scene 1. The silent forest walk. The late afternoon sun filtered through the thick forest canopy, casting dappled shadows on the narrow dirt path where Maya Carter walked hand in hand with her 5-year-old son, Leo. Their footsteps made soft, crunching sounds on the fallen leaves, and the gentle hush of the woods wrapped around them like a blanket. These daily walks had become their quiet ritual, a moment of calm in the middle of the emotional storm they'd been navigating since the accident. It had been a year since Maya's husband, Leo's father, was taken from them in a tragic car crash, and in that year, Leo hadn't spoken a single word. Doctors called it selective mutism, Maya called it heartbreak. She often talked to Leo as if he would respond any minute, hoping her voice might someday unlock the silence he'd retreated into. "Look at those birds, Leo," she said softly, pointing toward 2 red cardinals flitting from branch to branch. Leo didn't answer. He simply looked, nodded slightly, and squeezed her hand twice. Their secret code for yes. Though the world had changed so violently around them, Leo's grip was steady. Yet his silence never stopped echoing in Maya's heart. Every day she wished for a sign, some small spark to show that her son was still with her behind that quiet gaze. She didn't know it yet, but that sign was waiting just ahead, hidden in the shadows and the mud. Scene 2. The silent plea. They had almost reached the big oak tree, their usual turning point, when Leo stopped abruptly. His body went rigid, his eyes wide, staring off the path into the underbrush. Maya's heart skipped. Leo never broke routine. Any deviation usually triggered panic or tears. "What is it, honey?" she asked, voice gentle, trying not to spook him. Leo didn't answer. He dropped her hand and pointed, his finger trembling. "No, sweetheart," Maya said quickly, reaching for him. "We stay on the path, remember? We don't wander off." But Leo was already moving. He stepped into the underbrush, sneakers sinking slightly into damp earth. Maya hesitated for a heartbeat before following him, thorns scratching at her arms. She caught up just in time to see him standing frozen at the edge of a shallow depression in the forest floor. Then she saw it. A dog, large, limp, and barely breathing, lay sprawled in a puddle of mud streaked with blood. Her coat, once a noble tan and black, was now matted with dirt. Her belly was swollen, unmistakably pregnant. Maya gasped, instinctively pulling Leo back. "Don't touch her, Leo," she whispered, voice trembling. "She might be dangerous." But Leo resisted. He looked up at his mother with wide, urgent eyes that seemed to plead without words. The dog's eyes fluttered open, deep brown and clouded with pain, but alive. She let out a soft, broken whimper. It pierced through the quiet of the forest and straight into Maya's chest. Memories flooded back, her own fear of dogs, the Rottweiler that had chased her into traffic when she was 8, the broken arm, the fear that had never left. "We need to call animal control," Maya said, already reaching for her phone. But then Leo did something she didn't expect. He slipped from her grasp and knelt beside the dog. His small hand hovered uncertainly above her belly. No growl came, no teeth, just those soulful eyes locked on his. And then the boy who hadn't spoken in a year began to hum. Softly, gently, the dog's tail thumped once, twice. Scene 3. A promise in the rain. For a long moment, Maya couldn't move. She crouched beside Leo, barely daring to breathe as she watched her son press his small palm gently against the dog's swollen belly. His eyes were closed, lips moving almost imperceptibly. A quiet hum escaped him, familiar, comforting. Like a lullaby he used to sing with his father, the dog didn't flinch. She just watched him, with exhausted, trusting eyes. Then came something Maya hadn't seen in over a year. Leo smiled. Not a faint, fleeting twitch, but a real, full smile that lit up his entire face. It caught Maya off guard. Her heart stuttered. "She's dying," she whispered, her nurse's instincts finally kicking in. The dog's breathing was ragged, her gums pale, her eyes fading. There were likely internal injuries, dehydration, and the added strain of late pregnancy. "I don't think she's going to make it." Leo's smile faded. He looked at Maya, then back at the dog. With slow, deliberate resolve, he placed both hands on her belly and gave Maya a look she recognized, stubborn, unrelenting determination. The same look she saw in the mirror every morning before facing another shift, another battle, another day, as a single mother, holding things together. Rain began to fall, light at first, then heavier, drumming against the leaves overhead. Maya glanced up. The storm that had been threatening all afternoon was finally breaking. If they left the dog here, she'd drown in that pit of mud before the night was through. "We can't leave her," Maya said aloud, surprising even herself. Leo's face brightened with hope. "But I don't know how we'll move her. The shelter's closed. I have work tonight." Leo tugged at her sleeve, pointing at her raincoat, then the dog. "My jacket?" Maya blinked. Then she understood. "A stretcher?" Leo nodded quickly. With a deep sigh, Maya slipped off her blue raincoat and spread it beside the dog. Together, with incredible care, they rolled the dog onto it. She whimpered, but didn't resist. "We're helping you," Maya whispered. And for the first time, the dog's eyes flicked to hers, grateful, aware. A silent promise was made in that moment. They wouldn't let her die. Scene 4. Racing against time. By the time Maya and Leo dragged the makeshift raincoat stretcher back to the trail, Maya's arms were trembling with exhaustion. The dog, already heavy, felt even more so with the added weight of her unborn puppies. The forest floor, now slick with mud from the downpour, offered no help. Leo stumbled but never let go. His eyes stayed fixed on the dog's face, as if his quiet presence alone could keep her alive. When they finally reached the car, Maya threw open the back door of her old Honda Civic and with one final heave helped Leo slide the dog inside. She collapsed into the driver's seat, heart pounding, scrubs soaked, hair plastered to her face. The dog lay still across the back seat, head resting in Leo's lap. He cradled her gently, whispering to her again, that same soft hum only she seemed to understand. Maya started the engine and pulled onto the narrow forest road, tires slipping in the mud. Her thoughts raced. The nearest clinic was closed. The emergency vet was over 40 minutes away. They didn't have that kind of time. Then she remembered. Dr. Philip Hayes, the retired veterinarian who lived alone on the edge of town. He'd mentioned to her once after his wife's surgery that he still kept a small clinic in his basement. It was their only hope. She swerved onto the side road, mud splashing against the car. Thunder rumbled overhead as the rain turned into a downpour. In the mirror, she saw the dog's belly contracting visibly. "Oh no," Maya whispered. "She's going into labor." Leo met her eyes, his face pale. He nodded. "Hang on, sweetheart," Maya murmured to the dog, pressing harder on the accelerator. "We're getting help." Moments later, the soft glow of a porch light emerged through the storm. Dr. Hayes's cabin. Maya slammed the brakes, leapt from the car, and banged on the door with both fists. "Dr. Hayes, please, we need you." The door opened. The fight to save not just one life, but many, was about to begin. Scene 5. The hidden truth. Beneath the fur, inside the basement clinic, time blurred. Under the glow of surgical lights, Maya stood beside Dr. Hayes, assisting with the emergency C-section. Her hands moved automatically, sterilizing, holding, passing instruments, while her heart beat a panicked rhythm in her chest. Leo sat silently in the corner, his wide eyes never leaving the table, as Nala fought for her life. One by one, the puppies were delivered, 4 in total, all alive, all crying. But as the last puppy was placed in the incubator, Nala's heart monitor flatlined. "No, please, no," Maya gasped, already reaching for the crash cart. "Epinephrine," Dr. Hayes ordered, calm but urgent. Maya handed him the injection, and he delivered it straight to Nala's heart. For a breathless moment, the only sound was the high-pitched whine of the flatline, then a blip, another, and then a heartbeat. "She's back," Maya whispered, eyes welling with tears, as Dr. Hayes stabilized Nala. His expression shifted, puzzled, then grim. "What is it?" Maya asked. "I found something strange during the procedure," he murmured, retrieving a tiny object from a metal tray, embedded just beneath her shoulder blade. It was no larger than a grain of rice, but under the clinic's light, its surface glinted with metal and microcircuitry. "That's not a pet chip," Maya said, frowning. "No," Dr. Hayes agreed. It's military grade. I've seen one like it before. Years ago." A chill swept down Maya's spine. "Why would a dog have a military tracking chip?" "That's the question, isn't it?" he replied, placing the chip in a specimen vial. Whatever this dog was, someone didn't want her found. Before Maya could answer, headlights swept across the basement windows. Footsteps, a knock at the door, 2 men, black suits, government IDs, claiming to be from the Department of Agriculture. Maya's instincts screamed they were lying, and suddenly the mud-soaked dog they'd found in the forest wasn't just a rescue, she was a secret, and someone dangerous wanted her back. Scene 6. Into the woods. Again. "They're not from the Department of Agriculture," Dr. Hayes said quietly, his voice tight with urgency as he locked the basement door behind him. "No agency sends men in suits during a storm at 1 in the morning." Maya stood frozen, holding the vial with the chip like it might explode. "What do they want with her?" she whispered, glancing at Nala, now resting weakly on a padded bed beside the incubator of her 4 newborn pups.
"I don't know," Hayes admitted, "but it's clear they're looking for her, and they won't stop." Upstairs, muffled voices filtered through the walls. The men were still outside, searching, asking questions. Leo, sitting cross-legged beside Nala, looked up suddenly. "We have to leave," he said quietly, his voice still fragile, but firm. Maya knelt beside him. "Leave? Now? Where?" Dr. Hayes hesitated only a moment before nodding. "There's a hunting cabin deep in the woods, off-grid."
"My brother and I used it for years. No one else knows it's there. You'll be safe for a while." Within minutes, the plan was set. Hayes packed medical supplies, puppy formula, and food. Maya helped Leo gather their few belongings, while Nala, weak but determined, rose shakily to her feet. "She's strong," Hayes murmured, watching her. "But she'll need meds every 6 hours, and she can't walk far." He handed Maya a set of truck keys. "Take mine, 4-wheel drive, it'll get you there." They moved quickly, loading Nala and the puppies into the back seat, Leo curled protectively around them. As they pulled away from the cabin, tires kicking up gravel in the rain, Maya glanced in the rearview mirror. No headlights, no sign of pursuit. Not yet, but she felt it in her gut. They were being hunted. And this was only the beginning. Beside her, Leo whispered to Nala, who rested her head in his lap. "Don't worry," he said softly. We'll keep you safe. Scene 7. A stranger in the trees. By the time they reached the hidden cabin, Maya could barely keep her eyes open. It was small, just one room tucked against the mountainside, but it was dry, isolated, and, for the moment, safe. She settled Nala on a thick rug near the fireplace, laid the puppies beside her, and let the silence wash over them. But safety, she soon learned, was an illusion. The next morning, as mist curled through the trees and Leo fed the pups, Nala suddenly tensed. Her ears perked, her eyes fixed on the forest beyond the window. Leo froze too. "She hears something," he whispered. Before Maya could react, a low bark echoed from the trees, then a figure emerged. A Belgian Malinois stepped cautiously into the clearing, not wild, not aggressive, calm, controlled. Seconds later, a man followed, tall, lean, with streaks of grey in his dark hair and a weathered backpack slung across one shoulder. His eyes, sharp and green, landed on them with quiet recognition. "We don't want trouble," Maya called, her voice protective as she stepped in front of Leo. The man raised his hands, palms open. "Neither do we. My name's Gabriel. This is Scout. We heard your girl's call." Null let out a soft, whimpering sound, a greeting, not fear. "She knows him," Leo said, eyes wide. Gabriel knelt, his gaze moving gently from Nala to the puppies. "I was part of the project that made her," he said quietly. "Project Sentinel. I left when I saw what they were doing." He looked up at Maya, his voice steady. "I'm here to help." Maya hesitated, her instincts torn between fear and fragile hope. Then she looked at Nala, who had inched forward, touching noses with Scout. "She trusts you," Maya said softly. And somehow that was enough. Scene 8. Echoes in the mind. They had barely begun their ascent toward Haven when Scout froze. A low growl rumbled from deep in his chest. Gabriel's hand went instinctively to the binoculars strapped to his chest. He climbed a ridge and scanned the forest below. His breath caught. "They've found us," he muttered. 3 sentinel teams closing in fast. Maya's heart pounded. "How?" Gabriel's jaw tightened. "The puppies, they're chipped too."
Leo's eyes darkened with realization, then determination. "We can't run anymore." "Leo," Maya whispered, placing a hand on his shoulder. "We're outnumbered. We don't have weapons. We have something better," he interrupted gently, looking at Nala and Scout. "We have truth." Gabriel stared at him. "What are you saying?" Leo turned to Nala, placed both hands on her head. Scout stepped beside her, touching noses in silent agreement. Leo closed his eyes. "We show them."
Moments later, the first sentinel team crested the hill, rifles raised. Orders were shouted. Then everything shifted. One by one, the soldiers staggered. Some dropped their weapons. Others fell to their knees, their faces twisted, not in pain, but in grief. Eyes wide, glassy. Tears fell. They weren't seeing a boy or a dog anymore. They were seeing what Nala had lived. The cages, the cold labs, the screaming mothers, the surgeries, the stolen puppies, projected not as images, but as emotions, raw, unfiltered. Leo stood motionless, acting as the bridge between human and canine, his own tears silently falling. The commanding officer, a hardened man in his 40s, stepped forward, visibly shaken. "Who authorized this?" he whispered hoarsely. "Project Sentinel, Marcus Thorne, Elliot Voss," Gabriel replied. "They told us you were thieves," the officer said, "that the dogs were dangerous. They lied," Maya said softly, standing beside her son. "They're not weapons, they're lives." The officer looked at Nala, now curled around her puppies, and then back at Leo. "You're coming with us," he said, "not as fugitives, as witnesses. Scene 9. From shadows to spotlight. The days that followed moved like a whirlwind. Under Captain Rivera's protection, Maya, Leo, Gabriel, and the dogs were escorted to a secure location. No longer fugitives, but key witnesses in a rapidly unfolding government investigation. News broke within a week. Project Sentinel exposed. Headlines blazed across every major outlet. Secret labs, genetic experiments, the weaponization of sentient animals. And at the center of it all, a pregnant German shepherd rescued from the mud, and the silent boy who gave her voice. Leo, who had once spoken only in whispers, now stood before cameras and congressmen. With Nala at his side, he told the world, through emotion more than words, about the pain these animals had endured and the deep connection they had formed with those willing to listen. Maya watched him from the sidelines, awe blooming in her chest. Her son had once hidden from the world. Now, he was helping change it. Testimonies from whistleblowers followed. Dr. Hayes submitted the chip. Gabriel shared files he had risked his life to smuggle out. The evidence was undeniable. Congress moved swiftly. Project Sentinel was dismantled. Its directors, Marcus Thorne and Elliot Voss, were arrested. New legislation passed, recognizing enhanced canines like Nala as sentient beings entitled to legal protections. Military programs involving animal cognition were suspended indefinitely, pending ethical review. And Haven, the hidden sanctuary in the mountains, opened its doors publicly. Under Gabriel's leadership, it became both refuge and research hub. Maya joined the team as a medical coordinator. Leo became something more. The bridge. The living proof that connection between species wasn't just possible, it was powerful. He taught others how to listen, how to feel. And Nala? She healed. She raised her puppies, King, Shadow, Star, and Luna, with the strength of a mother who had survived the worst and still chose love. The world had changed because a boy had listened, because a dog had trusted, because in the darkest place, compassion had lit the way. Scene 10. 1 year later. Where light took root, the sun dipped low behind the mountains, casting golden light across Haven. The air was cool and clean, filled with the distant rustle of leaves and the occasional bark from the training fields. On the porch of a modest cabin, nestled at the edge of the sanctuary, Maya sat beside her son, watching the world they helped change breathe peacefully. Leo was 12 now, or at least he felt older, not in years but in spirit. His hand rested gently on Nala's head, her coat glistening in the light. Around them, the 4 pups, King, Shadow, Star, and Luna, romped across the grass, their youthful energy as boundless as the sky above. "She's happy," Leo said softly, his voice steady, clear. "They all are." Maya smiled, brushing a curl from his forehead. "And what about you?" Leo turned to her, his eyes shining, not with tears, but with purpose. "I found my voice, Mum, and now we're helping others find theirs too." And he wasn't just a boy who spoke again. He was a guide, a teacher, a symbol of healing. People came from all over the country to meet him, to learn how to connect with animals who thought in pictures, in feelings, in trust. Gabriel emerged from the main building in the distance, Scout at his side. He raised a hand in greeting. A quiet signal. We're still safe. The war was over. The memory of fear remained, yes, but so did something stronger, hope. As stars began to appear in the dusky sky, Nala let out a soft sigh and rested her head on Leo's lap. Her eyes closed, content, whole. free. And Maya knew, with a certainty she hadn't felt in years, that sometimes the smallest act of compassion could ripple into something far bigger. It had all started with a walk through the woods, and a boy who stopped to help.